Good evening, everyone. Welcome in. So good to have you on tonight. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, would love it if you would comment. Let us know where you are watching from. This is the Manifest Network. Good evening, Cheryl. So good to see you. Drop a comment. Let me know where you're watching from, where you're joining us from. So excited about our topic tonight, what we're going to be talking about. Good evening, Yanni. Good evening, Stephen Coleman. Do me a favor. Good evening, Mildred. Do me a favor. Wherever you are tuning in from, go on ahead. If you're on Facebook, hit the share button. Share this to your page. If you're on YouTube, you can copy and share that link, text it out, email it out, LinkedIn it out, Instagram it out, whatever it is that you do, tweet it, X it out, I don't know. But I'm excited to be on tonight to have this conversation. I told you all earlier, this is one of the most important conversations that we've had in the Manifest Network. And I'll be glad to share with you why that is in a few minutes. If you're new here, my name is Shaun Marshall. I am a pastor, I'm a coach, I'm a consultant, and I'm the founder of the Manifest Network. And the Manifest Network exists to help people be who God created them to be, do what God created them to do, and live the life that God created them to live. I also wrote a book called Transition Decisions: How to Get Unstuck, Embrace Change, and Make Your Next Move Now. I believe that what happens for people is they're born, and when you're born and you grow up in the world, you're kind of taught this idea of the American dream, right? You're taught, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's one of the first questions you get asked in kindergarten. What do you want to be when you grow up? And you say, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a police officer. And you're taught that the pattern you're supposed to follow is get a good job, get married, have 2.5 kids, buy a house with a garage in the suburbs, and retire, right? And I think sometimes we feel like there's something more. We feel in our gut that there's something more, that there's something that we're supposed to birth, something that we're supposed to create, something that we're supposed to leave behind. And when we navigate our way to try to do that thing, try to make that thing happen, sometimes we get stuck. We get stuck when life changes. We get stuck when we experience loss. We get stuck when our dreams get frustrated. So my assignment in your life is to help you get unstuck so that you can go on ahead and do the things that you've been created to do and live the life that you've been created to live. So that's what we do. We offer content, we offer experiences so that you can manifest and live that life. And so I'm excited to have you all here tonight. We're going to have an amazing conversation. Let me frame it just a little bit. And let me ask you a couple of honest questions. First question: why do we keep waiting for somebody to invite us to the table? You've heard that before. I just want a seat at the table. I just want somebody to help me know how to get the bag. I just want somebody to give me an opportunity, to give me a voice. And watch this. I want America to finally do right by us, right? I want America to make it right. Why are we waiting for those things? Why are we waiting for opportunities to come back around that we've been waiting 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 years for? Why are we still waiting for 40 acres and a mule? Could it be that there are some things happening globally that we need to be paying attention to in order to possess the things that we're supposed to have? Could it be that we are supposed to think outside of the box and even think beyond our borders? You're going to understand that that's a double entendre in a few minutes. But could it be that we're supposed to expand our vision and expand our imagination for what it is that we're here to do? I know that you want to launch a business. I get it. I know that you've been given a ministry. I get it. I know that you've been given a book. I know that there's something that you want to do. I know that you want to leave a legacy. I know that you feel like you were born to be rich, to be wealthy, to have status and influence. I know that you want to make a change like Michael Jackson. You're going to make a change for once in your life. I know it. I get it. But what if the frame for that calling and that vision is too small? What if there's some things that are happening around us that we need to be paying attention to in order to tap into a different set of resources to follow the calling that God has placed in our lives and to go and do the things that we've been created to do? And so I want tonight to be a conversation that broadens our perspective, that helps us think a little bit bigger than around the corner, than up the street, and just the city that we live in. I want us to think about what might be happening that is unique to this moment. What's happening right now? The Bible talks about the men of Issachar who understood the times and therefore were able to lead and to be effective. I want us to be able to understand the times. I want us not just to go to church and shout on Sunday and get happy and get the sermon and leave. And then, oh, what happened in church? Oh, Reverend, didn't he preach? It was wonderful. Well, what are you going to do with that? I'm going to come back to church next week. I want us to do more than just be good churchgoers. I want us to actually make impact in the world, because that's what I believe that you and I were created to do. All right. So the conversation tonight that I'm going to have with my special guest is about worldwide wealth. What's happening in our global economy? Okay. We know what's happening here in the United States. But what's happening around the world, and what do we need to be paying attention to so that we can make some strategic decisions? I'm so excited. I'm going to bring my guests on right now. First, this is a longtime friend of mine. We've known each other, gosh, almost 30 years, which means that we, of course, met in nursery school. And so I'm excited because she is just a gift to my family. She's a gift to the Manifest Network. In fact, this young lady hosted my wife and I the night before we ever had the first Manifest event. And so I'm excited to bring her on tonight. Would you help me welcome Jackie Campbell? She's a global wealth strategist and educator. Hey there, Jackie. How you doing tonight?
Hey, so excited to be here with you and the Manifest community. Thank you for having me. So blessed.
Oh, Jackie, I'm so glad you could do this. And thank you for helping me to set this up. Because I would be honored and happy to have a conversation with you anytime. But we have the fortunate gift to be able to talk to a leading global economist. In fact, the former global economist for JPMorgan Chase. Yes, that JPMorgan Chase. And so would you help me to introduce our other guest tonight, Jackie? Would you help me do that, please?
I promise. I feel bad. I won't even do him justice, but I'm going to do my very best to bring on one of my dear friends, my colleagues from my time, not only at JPMorgan Chase, but now we are out here traveling the world, ensuring that economic literacy is in the hands of as many people as possible. So this gentleman Dr. Anthony Chan is the former global chief economist for JPMorgan Chase. He not only spent time at JPMorgan, but he's also spent time at the Federal Reserve, at Barclays. He's a professor. He's been on TV more than 600 times. You'll catch him on anywhere, CNBC, I mean, all the news stations, China TV, I mean, you name it. He is requested all over the United States, all over the world. And I'm just blessed and humbled that we saw it fit to come together for such a time as this, to really bring our expertise and to, like I said, to demystify, to debunk, to decode, and most importantly, to democratize financial education so that all have access. And I think we got some friends on here from the Ghanas, from Africa, from all over the world. So our goal is to make it super simple, plain English. And that's what my friend does so well. He's done it so well for many years throughout his time at JPMorgan. So thank you for joining, Dr. Anthony Chan. Thank you for being on this journey with me and with the Manifest community.
I think that Dr. Chan is having some audio difficulty, so we're gonna work that out and try to bring him out and bring him back in.
Okay.
But I'm excited, and I know that this is going to be a great conversation tonight. Jackie, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you're up to? I'll work on the technical stuff. Tell me a little bit about what you're up to globally, because you're not just doing stuff here. I mean, so Jackie and I, we have this, like I said, 30-year friendship. And you have to understand, when you're busy, a week can go by, a month can go by, time flies. But you have those true friends that it doesn't matter how much time passes, when you reconnect, it's just like starting the conversation up again.
That's right.
And so we started a conversation up again after not having talked for a while. And I learned, but every time I talk to you, I learn something new that you're up to. But can you update us and let us know what it is that you are doing? Because I think the people need to be aware of what you're doing in the world.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you, setting the stage and the tone for this incredible conversation. It truly is about creating worldwide wealth, and global strategies, so that those of us that are committed to generational wealth are in a place where we know we don't have to have our children and our children's children start from zero. I think many of us we're kind of like ready to break those chains. And so the big purpose and the big focus that I've been working on lately, after spending 27 years working for Wall Street firms, 7 years ago in 2019, I took the bold leap of faith after much prayer, much sacrifice, and much thoughts. I said, you know what? It's really time to sort of leave that world and really enter into the worldwide world of being able to ensure that we get access to really solid, plain English financial advice to as many people as we possibly can. And why is that important? I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that during our discussion today. But for me in particular, I will say that, I started this journey again back in the 90s when I was a simple high school intern that just always wanted to understand more about money and finance. And at the tender age of 21, I became a stockbroker, and I started working with ultra high net worth investors to really understand that world, and then to understand it so that at some point I could bring that world to my community. And as Pastor Marshall mentioned, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I was very fortunate to now bring that world to the South Side of Chicago, where every Wednesday we hosted financial and economic empowerment courses so that church members and even members from the community, our young brothers and sisters on the corners, we could grab them off the corner. We could say, come in, learn about the stock market, learn about the Federal Reserve, learn how interest rates work, because one day you're going to either want to buy a car, buy a home, get credit, or you're going to want to potentially maybe invest in a company and not have to do it the traditional way, maybe through the stock market. So our goal was to really make sure that our people from the communities, from the neighborhoods, from the South Side to Detroit to everywhere in between had the same type of access that Dr. Chan and I have been so blessed to have working for a Wall Street firm, a Fortune 100 company, where again, we were able to bring this information and make it, again, plain English so that everybody, no matter if you're 8 years old or 80 years old, my goal is that everyone has an opportunity to compete in this marketplace. So that's been a big part of what we've been focused on. It's like the mission is real simple. The mission is let's get financial education, economic literacy in the hands of as many people as possible. Dr. Chen and I have a very bold goal. Our goal is to really make sure that 1 million people get access to this information. Because why? It's because we understand how communities can change, how families can change, what can happen in places like we're going to talk about Ghana shortly. What happens when we have access to great financial advice, not just great financial advice, trusted financial advice that comes from experts. I think Dr. Chen and I think we did the hours. We've been in this thing about 150,000 hours. So we got a little bit of experience when we combine our few years in this game. And so our goal with what we're trying to do collectively is bring these 150,000 hours to communities across the world so that we can debunk and get more people empowered financially in their families and their communities. Now I don't hear you.
Are we good now?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. No, because it really is true that knowledge is power, right? And when we have access to a different set of information, we can experience a different reality.
That's right.
And so that is amazing. And I remember you, Jackie, doing that, like we talked about earlier, all the way back in the days of Salem, in the late 90s, and really helping to establish a model that was grabbed on by the late Reverend Jesse Jackson and Rainbow Push, that was then multiplied, that reached, I think, over 1,000 churches nationally, and really probably impacted more change than we really know in the lives of people as that information got distributed. So I'm so glad that you're here. Dr. Chan, I'm so glad that we worked that out and that we have you on tonight. I'm excited to speak with you. Can you tell us a little bit about how you become a global economist for JPMorgan Chase? How did your journey lead you there? And what exactly was that you did in that role, and what do you do now?
Well, Pastor Marshall, it's really an honor to be here with you and with Jack, which I've known for close to 25 years myself. So again, maybe we all started in nursery school, except myself. I must have been a little bit older than that. But I started out in a very simple way, growing up in low-income housing projects, basically a housing project mixed of 95% African-American, 5% Hispanics. And we did not have any financial education. We did not have any economic literacy. And one day I was just watching one of the shows, Meet the Press, in fact, and I saw an economist from the White House. And I said to myself, this is what I want to be. And so I really didn't have any mentors or anything, but I just really got the bug, and I never turned back. I was 14 years old, I still remember, and I just kept going and never really stopped. Almost like a Forrest Gump economist, just never stopped learning about this. And so I started out working with the Federal Reserve as an economist, completed my PhD there, then went on and taught at the university, and then went on to Wall Street and worked on a bond trading floor. And again, visiting countries all over the world, working for Barclays for many, many years, and then eventually settling down with JPMorgan and spending about 25 years with them. And now I just go all over the country in the United States and all over the world, really talking about global economics, because there's a lot of books out there that are written on the financial topics, and you probably have seen them. They're either about personal finance, they're about investing, they're about motivation, they're about economics. And this book really puts all those factors together, because it's no longer sufficient to be financially literate. Now you have to be financially literate, you have to be economically literate, and you also have to be aware of everything that's going on all over the world. because most people are not aware. I'm sure everyone in this panel is aware that there are a lot of things going on all over the world.
Yes.
Ghana, other countries in Africa are having really great success in equity markets and really coming in the top 5. I just wrote a Substack article. I write a Substack article every single week. I call myself the People's Economist because I like to write about economic and financial topics, but in ways that can actually meet people that are not necessarily PhD economists or not necessarily sophisticated, but the concepts are there so that everybody can understand them. Because at the end of the day, you want to be able to build your wealth, not just for yourself, but you want to build it for the next generation. And you also want to build curiosity, which is something that we really push very aggressively in this book, because curiosity leads to knowledge, and knowledge leads to power, and knowledge needs the creation of wealth and the sustainability of this wealth for future generations. And our focus in this book is to tell everyone out there that knowledge is so strong and so powerful that that's probably one of the strongest forms of wealth, because once you have knowledge, you can then build that wealth moving forward, and you can pass that on to future generations.
Yeah. It's funny because that you say that, because as I've grown older, one of the things I've learned is that your intellectual capacity, the things that you know, actually can be a part of your portfolio. So quite literally, your content, things that you have a particular expertise on, quite literally add value to you in a lot of substantive ways. And I just dropped the link to your Substack in the chat. We want to make sure that you definitely follow Dr. Chan on Substack and keep up with some of the thoughts that he's sharing. I want to ask this question for both of you, Dr. Chan, if you wouldn't mind answering, and then Jackie, if you comment on this, because there are probably a lot of people watching now, watching live and watching on the replay, who would consider themselves ordinary people, right? Ordinary, everyday people. I ain't got time for all of this. I turn on the news. I just want to know what the weather is tomorrow. And that when you start talking about the economy, and you start talking about the markets, and you start talking about things like the Dow Jones, people just kind of go, well, that doesn't have anything to do with me. And let me just tune that out. That's for those smart money people. Would you mind sharing a little bit about what it is that the quote unquote ordinary people might need to really be paying attention to when it comes to the economy and some of the things that are happening right now and things that are impacting them on a very real level?
Well, Pastor, that's a great question, because the reality is that the equity market is important for everyone, including ordinary people, including for all of us, because we can all have jobs and we can work and we can make money. But when you invest, you have this money working for you. That means that when you're sleeping, your money is working and growing. And it's not only growing for us and for you, but it's also growing for future generations. That's why it is so important. And then, of course, we live in the United States. So we just think about the United States, whether it's the weather, whether it's what's happening in the financial markets in the United States. But the reality is that our investments are impacted not only by what's going on in the United States, but what's going on globally. And as information travels a lot faster than it did when we were growing up, that means that these financial markets react even faster. So we not only have to have the tools to understand what's going on in our country, but we have to have the tools to understand what's going on overseas, because that impacts what our investments will do, but it also impacts our everyday lives. What's happening in the Strait of Hormuz is impacting the price of gas, the price of gasoline. It's also impacting the price of food, because you use energy to create that food. It needs fertilizer, it needs fuel to deliver the foods. All these things are impacted by things that are happening all over the world. Tariffs impacting countries from all over the world. There are taxes that are imposed on those products that we consume. So we have to be aware of all these things. Inflation. Why do we have to be aware of it? We have to be aware of it because it impacts our standard of living. That means it impacts what we can do for ourselves and what we can do for our families and what we can do for future families. And it also impacts the type of investments that you're also going to undertake. Just to give just one little inkling of this topic, everybody thinks, oh, investment. We today, artificial intelligence is the most important investment you can make. But the reality, I have more than 40 years of experience. And one of the things that I have learned over the last 4 decades is, yes, there are going to be some hot things, artificial intelligence, the internet, a personal computer, but not every single investment wins. Sometimes a part of it wins. Sometimes only a fraction of it wins, but not everybody wins. So today, I'll give you an example of the last couple of years. Software companies were winning. Now software companies are under a little bit of pressure. And then data centers. But again, data centers, people that invest in a lot of data centers, those companies are a little bit under pressure. So who is winning? Well, the people that are providing the sort of the picks and shovels to this artificial intelligence. The bottom line is the secret, Pastor, is that companies that win are not the ones that overinvest in something that's hot, and not the ones that underinvest, but the ones that properly invest. And by the way, how do you know which ones are going to be the ones? You got to diversify. So that is the secret sauce of investing, to diversify, not only across asset classes, but also geographically. So this is all the stuff that we want to bring to the ordinary person so that the ordinary person can excel not only for themselves, but for their future generations. And that's what we defined as leaving and generating a legacy of wealth.
Yeah. And it's critically important right now because there's so many things happening where, we used to think, okay, America was the center of it in such a way I could just focus in on America and be fine and catch every opportunity. But I think about that old book, Who Moved My Cheese, right? And the cheese is moving, right? And Jackie, you're doing a lot of work globally, and you see some things shifting too. Would you comment on what us ordinary folk need to be paying attention to when it comes to all this stuff that's going on?
I love being ordinary. Sometimes, and so I can definitely relate to, again, what are the things that are really on the minds of, and Dr. Chan, again, he expressed it so well. I mean, one of the things I look at before we talk about, just some of the global things that are very prevalent right now. But let's go back to what we're seeing even happen with AI, right? And the fact that we really can't ignore what's happening with artificial intelligence. We can sort of think that it's just going to go, it's not going away. I can tell you, I'm in many, many rooms. I just left a huge conference in Omaha, Nebraska, and the theme of the 3 days was AI. And so when you're in these rooms that I'm blessed to be in, and we're understanding from the higher level what this means, and then we're able to really break that down to just every day, like, what does this mean for our water, right? What does this mean for jobs? What does this mean for investing? Like, there's a lot of just kind of questions that we should be asking, good, bad, or indifferent. AI is here to stay. So how are we, from both an investor standpoint, if we want to take advantage of the opportunity to actually be part of history, because this is I believe, a very history making moment that we're in, where we're seeing on one end, we're seeing compression in certain areas. We saw last year a lot of compression in government jobs and DEI and different roles that we know have sort of like the desk job, if you will, and some of the things that we're hearing about how that might be disrupted a bit because of the AI, the chats, the Claudes, the co-pilots that are out there that can really make life more efficient for businesses, and for small businesses, frankly, like mine. I'm a small business owner, and how I'm leveraging AI, to be thought partners, in some of the work that we do that would normally cost me 6 figures, but now I can leverage these kind of tools. Now, some might say that's a bad thing. Some say it's a good thing. Well, I think as a small business owner, it's a good thing, right? That I can have access to some of these tools that can help propel our business into a place where we can go out and create more jobs, create more systems. And so I do think there's a lot of nuances happening. Again, ordinary people, we need to understand what this means for our future generations. As I think about my son, who is 17 years old, I have another one who's 8. I'm training them right now to think like entrepreneurs. The little guy wants to open up a Jiffy Lube oil a franchise. He wants to become an oil tycoon, and that's his way to do it, right? I'm like, I love it, right? Where my older son is taking his ability, again, you talked about it earlier, his IP, his intellectual property, and he's creating different tools and resources where that becomes now an asset on his books, right? So I think there's a really unique way that those of us that are the innovators, how we're taking innovation right now and saying, wow, this is finally for the creators like me. I consider myself part-time creator. Well, the creator sort of economy is booming right now. The wellness, things like, people want to feel better about their life, just even from waking up and eating real food, to, having the ability to really think, the Gen Z world, the people like my sons, they're looking at life very differently than me and then my boomer mom and dad, right? And so I do think we have to take a step back and say, even as ordinary people, life is really shifting. And then if we were to even consider, some of the things that are happening globally, I'm going to pick on Africa because it's just a place that I enjoy studying and I find fascinating as of late. Dr. Chan and I were going back and forth the other day about what's happening in Nigeria. I mean, one of the best performing equity markets right now in the world. You've got Dan Goldie, one of the richest, African tycoons that, his oil is outselling in Europe right now because they need oil from somewhere. So guess where they're getting their oil from? Africa. What a change of dynamic. And so we're seeing their stock market perform. Tanzania is on fire. Ghana is on fire. So I want to say 8 out of the top 10, if I'm not mistaken, best performing stock markets right now are sitting in Africa. So these are some very unique times right now that I think, for those of us, I call it with eyes to see and ears to hear and a discernment to want that additional knowledge and wisdom. Let's study this. It doesn't have, and that's why Legacy Lessons is here, because Dr. Chan and I, our goal is to make sure people know that these things exist, and we're going to make it in plain English so you know how to be involved.
Yeah. You're mentioning your book that is about to release, Legacy Lessons with Jackie Chan. Powerful new book, powerful message that shares a lot more of these kinds of tools and thinking and wisdom and strategies for people to be able to shift their thinking. I'm so excited about this book. We're going to promote this book in the Manifest Network. In fact, I think we might make it required reading for what we're leading up to. Because I think, and Dr. Chan, this is forming a question for you, sir. I posted in preparation for this conversation today, I posted, what if our greatest problem is not that we lack more money, but that we have a limited imagination, right? The thing, and I know you can relate to this because of where you said you come from and where I think we all come from, we all can relate to. The thinking that drives us is always, if I could just get more money, if I could just get more dollars in my hand, if I could just get a raise, if I could just, and that's all well and good. But I think we're in a moment where what we actually need is a different mindset and maybe a mindset paradigm shift. And so I want to ask you, because we've touched on Africa several times here, why is it, sir, that you think that the person who says, well, I'm just an ordinary person, but, I'd love to start a business, and they're thinking about it in the traditional ways of starting a business. Well, I just love to, take this little money that I have, mama left me a little money in her insurance policy, and I can invest something. So, maybe I'll get a property. That's great. But why do you think those folk, us, need to shift our thinking, perhaps to pay attention to what's happening in Africa as opportunities that we need to be thinking about? What is it that you're seeing that you say, now listen, if you're thinking, you need to be thinking in that direction?
Well, Pastor Marshall, the answer to that is pretty straightforward, and that is that most of the African countries are emerging, and emerging countries always grow faster than mature economies. So that means that opportunities that are in Africa or other emerging countries are going to generate bigger and bigger returns than in mature countries. That's the reason why African countries are growing faster than the United States. We constantly hear that we have the best economy in the world, but Pastor, we're going to grow this year, if we're lucky, about 2%. Most of the countries in Africa are growing much, much faster than that. Most of the countries in other emerging markets are growing much, much faster than that. So 2% is great, but it could be better. And therefore, not to have exposure to those opportunities, you're limiting the potential of your ability to accumulate wealth. And another factor that I think needs to be mentioned and is very, very important is that right now, not only does it give you a greater opportunity to enhance your returns, but it also gives you another opportunity to diversify your returns. And that when you diversify, you minimize the risk. So these are all things that we cannot stop. Think about the potential of these African countries that have one of the youngest populations in the world. That's how you grow the economy. Right now, the latest numbers suggest that by the year 2050, the US population is not only going to stop growing, but it's actually going to start contracting. That is not true in many of these exciting African countries. Their populations are going to continue to grow. Countries are going to go there and get very excited about recruiting labor, recruiting new ideas. It's not to say that people at older generations don't have ideas, but the ideas of these young people are even more exciting. They're raw, they're exciting, they're roaring to go. And when you have that kind of potential, if you close your eyes to that, you're limiting your potential. I don't want to ever hear that anybody that comes from the places that you and I came from, in neighborhoods where people didn't think we had potential, I want the people that will succeed to look like us. And that's important.
I felt the quickening, Dr. Chan. You started to preach there. And when you talked about exposure and potential, because I heard you, I've been listening to you. You said, I became a global economist because I was exposed to it. I saw it. And when I saw it, now I have an imagination for it. And when you developed an imagination for it, you became it. And so I hear you. And it's so exciting what you're saying, because what it sounds like I hear you saying is it's almost like being able to get in on America as it was emerging, to be able to invest in a country, in a nation that is becoming something new, and there is momentum there. I highlighted a comment, Jackie. Somebody said, whoa, did I hear correctly? Did she say that 8 to 10 best performing stock markets are in Africa? And yes, you heard that correctly. You just heard Dr. Chan say that the growth in some of these African countries is outpacing what we're going to be expecting here in America. Jackie, I know that you're doing work in Ghana, for example. Can you tell us a little bit of what you've been seeing on the ground, what we mean when we say that there are markets emerging? There are some things that are happening in some of these nations that have actually never happened before. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would definitely say from the second that I land, I was very fortunate to be in Ghana about 4 times last year. And so every time I land, I would say there's additional cranes in the air. I think I counted about 100, at least 100 cranes in the air. And cranes in the air is a sign. right? When you go to places and you see cranes, that means people are ready to move there. And I'm saying not just cranes, high-rise buildings that are being developed because people from the UK, people from Australia, people from the Middle East, people from America, from South America, they're all looking at West Africa. Now, why? Why is that? Well, there's a few things. One, politically, they've been stable since 1957. Next year, they're going to celebrate their 70th. And as we get ready to celebrate Manifest Ghana, we're going to actually be there for their huge 70th Independence Day that takes place next March 2027. So you have they're a safe country. I mean, I'm the type of girl, I'm a little risky, but I can walk around at midnight by myself when I'm in Ghana. Like everyone just says, hi, sister. Hi, sister. And so there's a safety. So people from all over the world, no matter what color your skin is, they feel safe in Ghana. So we're seeing that that's attracting people because they want that feeling of safety. They don't want to feel that sort of like that tension that some of us are feeling in some parts of the world, right? So it's a very calm, when they greet you, the second you land, it's welcome, peace, love, thank you, Madasi, Akwaba, right? It's all love. And I'll tell you, outside of that, some of the best agriculture opportunities that I've seen. I mean, I've ran across things like cocoa farms, coconut farms, mango, shea, cinnamon bark farms, right? These things come. I mean, I could be walking in a coconut, just, slaps me on my head because it just, the region there is so prime and prep for delicious, organic, authentic food from the heavens. And so that's a big industry. 80% of the world's cocoa. Y'all think y'all getting good cocoa in Switzerland and Belgium? It's coming from Ghana, okay? Let's be clear. It comes from Ghana. And so coconut, all of that, this is a major harvest for them. And then don't forget about the thing that we all love, gold. They are Ghana has the largest gold reserve on the entire continent of Africa. I want to say they're the sixth largest gold reserve in the world. And so there is a huge, right now, with everyone kind of flying to safety as they think about what's happening with our US dollar and some of the things that we've been seeing from a disruption from a currency perspective. Guess what people do when they want to fly to safety? Well, gold can be traded all over the world. I can go to India with my gold, or China with my gold, or Europe with my gold. And Ghana happens to be sitting on natural resources. I mean, Africa in general, but Ghana has gold, they have rubber, they have magnesium, they have so many different natural resources. And so you're seeing that, those things were, as we know, sort of, off limits in previous life. And now they've gotten control of their natural resources. So what does that mean? They, I think, just recently left the IMF. They were able to pay off the IMF. So there's a lot of positive momentum with, their debt levels, with the fact that they're, attracting, as Dr. Chan said, 19 years old is the average age, the average age. And we're talking their population is not slowing down. They are growing like leaps and bounds, and they want roads just like we want here in America. They want to be able to power up their cell phones. They want energy. They want internet, right? And so these are opportunities, right, that are available for people willing to invest. They're not going anywhere. So they want roads. They want energy. They want clean water systems. We were able to invest actually in a project recently where it powered up 400,000 homes who literally couldn't even cut on their light. Now, not only do they have lights, but they can tap into the internet and go out and create jobs, attend things like this, right? And help their family. Just a matter of just now having electricity. So that's the kind of thing that Dr. Chan is talking about. We're very blessed here in the States to have, to be, an economy that, has, that's have all these benefits for many, many years. They were a developed economy. So that's the difference between US, places like, Europe, developed versus emerging sometimes is where you see opportunity. Yes. And because I've been able to be on the ground floor, seeing it live and direct is exciting.
Yeah. So like you were saying the country has an opportunity to profit off of its own resources, right?
Coming right out the ground.
It now has the capacity, whereas China or the United States would come in and they would say, hey, we know that you can't mine your gold, so we'll come in and we'll do it. Now they have the capacity to develop and build industry, which then raises up a labor force, which
There
then
you go.
creates opportunity for all the things that go along with that, right?
Right.
That's
So that's what we need to be paying attention. That's what you're saying when
That's
we're
right.
talking about an emerging country. It's almost like I have a friend here tonight, Dr. Jessie. I think she was just forgiven of like $170,000 of student loan debt. And
Congratulations.
if you've ever had, yes, hallelujah, if you've ever had student loan debt and you've had any portion of it forgiven, you know what that opens up for you. If you've ever had a mortgage and you've paid it off, if you've ever had a car note and you paid it off, you know what that does. That opens up room for you now to think about, what can I do now that I don't carry so much debt, now that I don't have to pay other people back? So when Jackie was talking about, satisfying the debts with IMF, it now makes this country, puts this country in a position where it can say, now what can we do with our own resources? Just like you can now say, oh, now I can take a trip. Now I can go to Cozumel. Now I can go to Maui.
Look at this, take dinner tonight.
Right? Now the country can say, oh, now we can do this. Great.
Right.
So it's opening up opportunity and making it where you may want to pay attention. So Dr. Chan, one more question, and then I got this big announcement I'm gonna make.
Okay.
One more question for you, sir, because I do not want to miss the opportunity to have the chief. Y'all hear that? Chief, the chief global economist, the person who has advised literally corporations, Fortune 500, billionaires, trillionaires. I don't know what comes after trillionaires, but has advised everybody. I would love it if you could tell these quote unquote ordinary people a couple of things you think they should do right now. Because most people, again, when they hear all this stuff, they say, well, I don't have $1 million though. And I don't have investments. And I ain't even never been outside the country. So they say, well, maybe I can tell my one rich friend, because everybody has at least one rich friend. Or somebody they think is rich. But what would you, sir, advise everybody who's listening on a couple of things that they can do practically right now to jump on some of the things they've just heard? There's already one, and that one is that they need to get this book. And we're going to make sure.
I was just going to say, buy the book.
That's absolutely right, because there's only so much we can get out of your mind in an hour. But this book contains all of the wisdom and all the strategies and elaborates on some of the things you shared here. But sir, what are some things real practical that you think people can do to begin moving in the direction of some of these global opportunities?
Well, the first thing is to set aside even a small amount of savings to invest in a diversified manner. I mean, Warren Buffett himself said that when he started investing with less than $50. And I think his first investment was $10. So, and today I don't think it's any secret that he's got quite a portfolio that he's built up during his life. So it's not necessarily the size of your portfolio at the beginning, it's how you grow it over time that really matters, and how consistent you are. And that is the story behind Ghana. Just 2 weeks ago, I wrote a Substack article talking about the miracle of Ghana and how the Ghana equity market is doing so well because of its great potential. When I hear Jack excited about celebrating Ghana's 70th birthday next year, hopefully we'll both be there. And I'm going to tell your audience a little secret. I will be turning 70 next year, the same age as Ghana.
Wow.
So I'm very, very excited to share my 70th birthday with Ghana's 70th birthday next year. It'll be a real privilege for me to be able to do that. But the real secret is to have that curiosity, to have that imagination, because without imagination and without curiosity, you're not going to accumulate knowledge that you're going to need in order to grow not only the assets to sustain you during your life, but to sustain those that are around you, to sustain future generations, to share your knowledge that you accumulate because of that curiosity. So people are born as ordinary individuals, but they don't have to go through in their entire lives just being ordinary individuals. You can
Great, sir.
continue to enhance that, enhance it over time, and enhance it for future generations. That's our goal for this book, and that's our goal for everyone that's listening and everyone that reads the book, is for them to share that knowledge with other people and be able to, again, benefit from it, but for many future generations.
That's so good. So, so good. Thank you, sir. I'm going to give both of you an opportunity to share a final word, a word of encouragement, a word of admonishment, a word of correction. But I've been hyping up this big announcement, and I get to hype it up even more because it sounds like it's going to be a double birthday party or triple party with Ghana's birthday, your birthday, Jackie's birthday. But one of the things that you heard me say, and it stuck with me, and it's going to sit with me for a while, is that this man, Dr. Chan, became who he is because of what he was exposed to in his youth. It doesn't matter where you come from, it's what you're exposed to and what you're able to see that actually will tell the story on the future of your life. And so here in the Manifest Network, we want to do everything that we can to expose you to the things that you need to see and know so that you can reach and maximize your full potential. So, wish I had a drum roll, but I don't. So here it goes. In 2027, we are going to Ghana.
Woo!
We are going to Ghana. We are
Wow.
going to host in 2027, March 2027. We are hosting the Manifest Ghana Experience, March 1st through the 9th, 2027. We will be there to celebrate not only the independence and the birthday of this great country, but we will be there to help expand your imagination, to help broaden your vision so that you can put feet on the ground and see what's happening there. So you can see what's happening in the economy. You can see what's happening in industry. You can see what's happening in the community. You can meet the people. You can learn more of the story of where we all come from. Because Jesse Jackson said it one day, and I'll never forget. He said it 30 years ago, we're all African. Okay. This is home. And so I want to have an opportunity to take you home to see what they've been talking about that's happening in this great emerging nation. We're going to spend this week there. We're going to celebrate. We're going to be exposed to all that is good in this, everything that we can see. We're also going to do what we always do in the Manifest Network. We're going to share wisdom. We're going to do some strategy. We're going to do some planning. We're going to expose you to some brilliant minds. You see, Jackie is helping us to host this experience. We're doing this in partnership with an organization called Sankofa US. My good friend, Bishop Lance Davis, is partnering with us. He leads tours in Ghana. And so he's partnered with us. We're putting together an incredible experience. This is what I need you to do right now. What I need you to do right now is go to manifestghana2027.com. manifestghana2027.com. Comment is in the chat. You can click on the link or you can type it. The information will be available on all of our platforms. We're going to share information with you via email, those of you all who are on our list as well. We're going to have an informational session. You can go find out what we're talking about, find out what the experience is going to be. You can download a brochure. You can ask your questions. I'm so excited about this because I literally believe that this experience, it's not a trip, it's an experience. I believe that this experience is going to open someone's vision. I believe that this experience is going to connect the dots for somebody. I believe that this experience is going to be the answer to prayer for someone who's been contemplating, what do I do? Where do I go? How do I move? Why hasn't this thing that I've been trying to do, why hasn't it taken off yet? Maybe it needs a different soil. You've heard me use this example before. My grandmother was a gardener, and every now and then I would watch her I would watch her take pots, plants. She would have plants in her living room. Sometimes she would take plants out the pot and she'd take them and she'd put them in the yard. And I would ask her, Mama, why do you do that? And she said, because I know that this plant is supposed to grow bigger and it's limited in this pot. And so I'm taking it out of this pot because if I put it in the yard, it's going to have more room to grow. It's going to have more sunlight. It's going to have more exposure. Could it be that what God has given to you needs a different environment, needs a different economy, needs a different network? I'm just going to expose you. That's my only job. I'm going to expose you to this place and what God is doing there. Jackie's going to join us. Maybe Dr. Chan will join us. Who knows?
I will join you. I will join
Look
you.
at God. Look at God.
I will join you.
You have not because you ask not.
Yeah.
Dr. Chan is going to join us. I'm so excited. We are going to have an amazing time, and I know that God is going to do something incredible for you. I don't put anything in front of you that I don't 100% believe in, and I know that this is God doing this. How it all came together is too incredible. So go to manifestghana2027.com, learn more, put your deposit down if you can, get the brochure. We're going to share more with you. Dr. Chan, Jackie, thank you so much. I'm so excited for your book. We're also, like I said, Legacy Lessons with Jack and Shan. I'm going to give you both an opportunity to share with us some final words, final thoughts. And while you speak, I'm going to throw your information up on the screen as well so folk can follow you. Jackie, why don't you share whatever you have to share with the people?
Absolutely. Well, again, I hope that everyone enjoyed this conversation. Again, our goal is to keep this going. I mean, one of the missions and the visions and the purpose behind Legacy Lessons with Jack and Chan is to make this information digestible, have it at the kitchen tables, have it in the rooms of our young people, universities, institutions, nonprofits, churches all over the world, because our goal is once we demystify and debunk and democratize this kind of information, imagine the access that it will give us. Like Dr. Chan mentioned, it's not about how much or how big you have. It's really about believing in your mind that, you know what, I should be an investor. I have a saying in my household, we call it give, save, then spend, in that order to win, win, win. Because when you do the first two, they will always take care of you. So the goal is to give and to save and make that savings habit something that, again, it doesn't, nowadays, you don't need $1 million to invest. You can start with $10, $50 and start just going into an ETF. But the main thing is to do it. Don't give yourself an excuse not to do it, because if you don't put yourself first, then why are then who else is going to put you first, right? So that's why my rule is give, save, then spend. Take care of God, then take care of you, then take care of everybody else, in that order. And if you do that, watch things manifest. And y'all, join us. This Ghana experience is going to be incredible. We're lining up some amazing surprises. We're going to have such a beautiful experience. And like Dr. Chan said, he's turning 70. I'm turning 50. Ghana's turning 70. It is going to be a party. So we are not only going to go out there and understand how to take on our piece of this incredible opportunity, but we're going to have fun and we're going to come back. I believe we're going to come back changed. So with that, thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you, Jackie. Dr. Chan, your final reflections, and I'll put your information so folks can follow you as well.
Thank you, Pastor Marshall. One of the things I will say, I loved your analogy of the gardening and putting that flower in the yard in a bigger space, because it's really similar to investing. Right now, too many families and too many ordinary people think if I come up with a financial plan, I just got to know everything that's going on in America. But the reality is, we don't just live in America. We live in a global economy, and a global economy impacts the way we live, the investment returns, and things like that. So we have to invest in a bigger pot. We can't just keep it in a small pot. Love that analogy. And the greatest investment, let's not forget, is not even in a stock or in a bond, but it is in the understanding of how the world works. Because once you understand how the world works, everything else starts falling into place. And that's what we're doing with this book. That's what I do every single week with my Substack publication. We want to make sure that everybody out there understands how the world works. You can start out by signing up for my Substack publication. It's free if you like, and find out how you can understand the way the world works a little bit better. Read the book, and you get another inkling. In short, move that plant from that small pot. Call it the United States. Call it your apartment. Call it your house, and put it in a bigger place. It's going to grow a lot faster. Thank you, Pastor Marshall, for having us.
Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it, Dr. Chan. God bless you. Jackie, God bless you. I'm excited to know that I'm going to see both of you all in Ghana. Make sure that you follow them both. Their information is in the chat. We're going to send it out to you as well in the follow-up to this broadcast. It'll be down in the description of this video if you are watching the replay. Don't forget, we want you to follow them as well, because this book, Legacy Lessons, I think this is one of the most important books that you can read, that you can have, because this will give you wisdom that you can pass down to your children. This can reposition your family. This book can actually be the spade that brings you up out that pot and plants you where you're supposed to be planted, because information exposure can change your life. Make sure that you get it. We'll make sure that you get it. We'll make sure that all of y'all who are going to Ghana, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna get in trouble with my team. This is a very Reverend Meeks thing to do, by the way. It's just, if you're signing up for Ghana, you're gonna get a copy of this book. Manifest Network. You go to Ghana, Manifest Network is gonna bless you with a copy of this book. I get to say I did my Reverend Meeks thing for the day. I just made an executive decision, because I know that if that book contains just a measure of the wisdom that was shared on this call tonight, that you will be blessed. Thank you so much. Let me pray for us as we close out and as we go forward. God, I thank you for this conversation. Thank you for meeting us here by your Spirit. Thank you so much for Dr. Chan. And God, we just bless you for his life, and we thank you for what you've done in his life, for how you set a path before him. We don't believe in coincidences. We don't believe in accidents. We believe that you orchestrated the circumstances that allowed him to see the future that you had prepared for him. And wow, what change you've not only brought in his life, but in so many others because of that trajectory. Thank you, God, for him. We pray that you would bless him in his endeavors. Thank you for Jackie. Thank you, God, for her wisdom. Thank you for her joy, her hope, for everything that you've allowed her to do and to see. Thank you for both of their passion to equip people with the tools and the wisdom and the information necessary to not only build wealth and to achieve purpose, but to leave a legacy, to leave the world better than you found it, to pass on something to the next generation. I pray, God, that you would do exceeding and abundantly above all that they can ask or think. For everyone listening tonight, whose imagination was expanded, whose vision was broadened, I pray that you would continue, God, to stir the momentum in their hearts. Don't let this be another broadcast that they just watched. God, allow them to make a decision. Allow them to say, you know what, this is worth my future. This is worth my family's future. For me to get some exposure, for me to read this book, for me to take this trip, for me to see what it is that you're doing. Our prayer always is, God, that we would be able to see what you're doing and meet you there. We bless you. We thank you for what's going to happen as a result. These conversations and experiences in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
All right. The information is all there for you. Follow Dr. Chan, meet him on his Substack. If you don't, I don't know what's wrong with you. So I know that you're going to be there. Jackie, thank you. Dr. Chan, thank you. Go to Manifest Ghana 2027.com. Get the brochure, make your deposit. I'll see you there. Y'all have a wonderful night. Take care. Bye-bye.